All right, we are excited to have Josh Smith, VP of Marketing with Scorpion Home Services. Today, we are just going to bring you really a value-packed 10 minutes. We really want this to be current and with the times. And Josh and I were talking, and we really were thinking, what's more current than the markets actually reopening right now all across the U.S. And so, Josh, welcome to the show. I can't wait to dive in. So go ahead and just tell people watching just a little bit about you, and then go ahead and just dive into the content.
Thanks, Dan. Honestly, it's awesome to be here. I'm super fired up and always amped up to provide some value and drop some good marketing nuggets for our business owners to walk away with, to be able to kind of go back into the business and really implement right away. Never been a fan of watching a podcast, learning something, and not implementing something right away. So hopefully we're going to bring some real practical advice here. I run the marketing team over at Scorpion, so we handle all of our business relationships and ultimately focus on the goals and desired situations and places for all of our business owners where they want to be, and put together the digital strategies and utilizing marketing technology to help them get there. So it's a bit of background about my current role. And in that role, in all the business owners that we deal with across the nation, we see a wide variety of personalities, business decisions that business owners are making day in and day out. And there's really kind of 3 points that I want to focus on today with respect to what business owners should be thinking about and looking at when it comes to their overall marketing strategy. And this is something you can take to the bank and not just have it rely on the digital side, but really take a look at your traditional avenues as well as a lot of the tools and technology you're investing into with respect to your marketing campaign and strategy. The first thing is really you got to step back and you got to do an uncovering. And I want to focus in two specific areas where you got to do this. The first is you got to take a look at the business as a whole and find out where the drop-off is. I've seen a lot of business owners that step back and they want to cancel everything. They want to kind of go into this shell, so to speak, and not come out until the bad has kind of passed. And this is actually the time from a leadership perspective where business owners need to buckle down, get into the trenches, really take a look at every line item that if they're spending money on when it comes to their marketing campaigns and when it comes to their business operations, and really boil things back down to the essentials. The worst thing you can do right now is to cut off the hand that's actually keeping you afloat. And I've seen business owners that want to cancel all of their potential marketing efforts that they're engaging in. And I find that to be a bigger mistake than it is helpful for that particular business. And typically the jumpstart time to get back into the swing of things in the busy season is a lot more difficult when you make that decision. So you got to find out where the drop off is in the business. That may be on your paid search and may be on your organic side of things when it comes to your rankings. It may, for a lot of people, it's current customers coming back to them. We've seen that a lot as well. So identify where the drop off is. And the second thing you got to do in uncovering on is where are your customers right now? We see this in marketing all the time. Marketing is really a study of human behavior and then connecting people to a solution for their problem that they're potentially having. And we're seeing a lot of data that is pointing us in the direction of where your customers are right now. Facebook, for example, is up 53% in terms of on-site browsing traffic. Instagram's up 32%. And Facebook also did a really interesting thing. Their media and brand teams did an uncovering and reaching out to their user base to find out what the top concerns their consumers had. And the top two are really interesting. The first thing is 46% of people said that they were worried about falling sick. Big surprise. We're in the middle of a pandemic that is health related. So that is one of the first things we've been hearing ad nauseum about in terms of how do you solve that, putting booties on, making sure we're washing our hands and that sort of thing. But the second one is really interesting. 60% of people felt the situation demands them to be even more proactive about financial planning and security of finances for the future. That's a really interesting thing when you think about it and as it pertains to business. And so there's things that you want to make sure you have in place to address that particular concern. So that way it's removing that as a barrier to entering into doing business with you. So that's the first that just you got to dive into, and that's uncovering.
Yeah, and I really love that too, because people watching, some people have programs where they can uncover really quick, and some people have to really get in the weeds and really figure out what is bringing the ROI or the return on investment for their marketing. So you're hearing it right here, people. Right now is the time to just set aside some time in your day and really get that dialed in, because right now we're in a stage where business owners need to be gaining momentum as we come out of this, as the markets reopen. So that's really great information, Josh. Thanks for sharing that. And then, and the second, I know the second part is really a great one. You were wanting to talk about building your brand. Share more about that.
Absolutely. We find in times of crisis like this, it's almost like, I like the analogy of it. It's very similar to entering into kind of your slow season. We see a very similar trend in terms of drop off of business, consumer behaviors shifting and adjusting in the slow season, which we're in home services. We're in the home services industry. Seasonality is just a part of what we do every year. So this is a surprise. The challenge is it's in a very kind of odd place right now within our year. And so it's throwing the seasons a bit out of whack. But the actual efforts that you want to make in the slow season apply right here. And that's really building your brand, focusing on those brand building efforts. How can you help customers right now? It is going to showcase how you can establish a solid experience with your brand and also relationships with people. So when you move into that busy season, you're setting yourself up for more success. One of the big recommendations that we always make for business owners in the off season isn't to cut everything down and then just go on vacation for 3 months until the busy season picks back up. But it's actually, this is the time when you want to buckle down. You work on the business, right? You step back and focus on how do we build up the relationships that we have so people are having a positive experience across the board, telling their friends about it. So that way, when we move into the busy season, we're top of mind. And when people are running a search for that plumber, that leak detection, whatever that might be, they see the name and there's a familiarity with it. So there's a big effort that can be placed right now in building the brand. I always say, answer questions that people are asking. People have a lot of questions right now, and making sure that your CSRs, your techs in the field are constantly listening and asking consumers what their concerns are, questions are, have those documented, and then take to social media, which is where, as we just heard, the vast majority of people are right now on Facebook and Instagram, with Facebook being up over 50% in terms of their traffic. That's where your people are. Go to the masses and answer all the questions that they're asking. This is a great opportunity for a good content play. And also get creative with those financial options, right? Those financial options and other barriers for people doing business with you. These are just some efforts that you can focus on right now to build your brand, to come back after this wave has kind of passed and enter back into that busy season, making a bigger impact than you may have if you didn't do any efforts like that.
Yeah, I really want to jump in here, because building a brand is kind of that, it's a word, branding is a word that's been used a lot and thrown around a lot. And I think a lot of business owners think that, doing this social media effort or shooting some video or just doing these things should be an instant ROI. Like what calls am I getting? And they're looking at it in the wrong light. Like to me, it's getting your logo, it's getting your brand, it's being current with the times as much as you can, because it's like a snowball. You're building a giant snowball to where, when, like you said, when we come out of this, people are like, oh, I've seen that logo before. Oh, I've seen that owner, and they're funny, they're current. So anybody out there watching this, I encourage you, start branding yourself, but stop waiting on the perfect time to do it, or the perfect lighting, or the best video, because a phone and a little bit of effort, you can really lay down some good content. So that's really awesome. And then I know the last one you were talking about, don't stop advertising, but just dive into that a little bit more for us.
Yeah, definitely. Don't stop advertising. This is, again, a crippling feature. Advertising being getting your message out in front of people to ultimately solve a problem that they're potentially facing. Consumers are at home more, a lot of work from home policies. We have the hashtag Stay Home initiative right now that everybody is adhering to, or most people should be adhering to. So they're going to notice more problems with the house. The needs aren't going to go away, especially for home service businesses being considered as essential businesses. So advertising is really making sure that your message is still seen and your brand is still seen in front of your ideal clients. Searches are still happening. They're not slowing down. Searches are happening. Jobs still exist. People still need us as essential businesses. So what I mean here too is, like, don't have that bunker, I call it a bunker mentality, where I'm just going to kind of hunker down, go into the bunker and wait for the Cold War to be over. No, this is the time to hunker down, not bunker down, hunker down on the things that are actually going to move for the business right now based on where your customers are, where you're getting the highest conversions, and actually ROI, and making sure you're dialing into that on your advertising from that perspective. And make sure you're in constant communication with your marketing provider, your marketing manager internally, if you have an internal marketing manager, so they have a full pulse on where all of this is and how it's playing out for the business, so you can make the best, most educated decision possible.
Man, I love that, because people watching, you know, that's the first thing I would do is pick up the phone and call my internet marketing manager and just say, hey, look, we're ready to hunker down. We're ready to get after this. We see some light at the end of the tunnel. And so what do we need to do? And that relationship needs to be continuously greased, because like they say, the squeaky wheel gets the, I forget how they say it. Anyways, but the main thing is,
gets the grease.
There you go. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. There you go. But the main thing is that you are in contact, you are advertising, you know, and realizing that now is the time to start to gain that momentum. And Josh, for anybody out there watching, if they have any other marketing questions, you know, actually, we've already talked about this, but if you're watching and you have any marketing questions, feel free to leave it in the comments here on the Facebook Live. Josh will come back around and answer anything that you have. You know, and once again, Josh, thank you again for being on the show. So just to recap it, just give us the highlight bullet points just one more time.
Definitely uncover where the biggest fall off is in the business right now. Build your brand right now. Focus on answering the questions that your customers are having and take it to the masses. And don't stop advertising. Just a qualification on that, you may need to adjust your advertising spend. Make sure your dollars are going where they're going to make the biggest impact right now. And your marketing team can help you with that.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Josh, for joining us. Thank y'all for watching, and have a great day.